thanks for watching us on this rainy March night in February. March. I just said March, and it come in like a lion. I was going to say February crushed us. March crushed us even more, but we got rain. Stay at home. Don't change the dial. Watch us. Chief, hello out there. Hope you're not eating dessert yet. We got a lot of sports talk. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. Chip the Prophet Hayner. Smoking Jim Frazier. And Zach Brenner. And we'll be talking sports. And I want to thank everybody. We just hit another high, 4,407 likes on Facebook. So thank you. We just jumped up by another bunch. Special thanks to Jim Kaiser out in Las Vegas. He's getting us some of the California and Las Vegas people that are Steeler fans and Pirate fans. So they love that stuff. Thanks for watching us also on Verizon 32 in Bethel Park and everywhere in the area from Nemacolin to Cranberry Wexford. Thanks for Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park. Everybody's watching us here. We appreciate it. And I have a few announcements that I want to make. We have this flyer here. Hey, John, do I go to you or hold it up? Or is Devin going to get that? We didn't coordinate that. This is live TV, folks. We have a gas grill raffle. There's a Weber stainless steel grill donated by True Value EV Hardware. So thanks to Andy for doing that. It's a $1 ticket to win this. And there's going to be a live random drawing on BPTV during the council meeting. And I think that's the first week in June before Father's Day. And the proceeds all go to BPTV Volunteer Scholarship Fund. So it's a great fund. That way they're going to try to get $5,000 this year so a scholarship can be out to further the education of anybody that's a volunteer at Bethel Park BPTV. They can go to school and learn even more. Even a Tiger, even Devin Shea in the control room, or anybody else that comes here. So check that out. We'll be having the raffle tickets are only $1, 5 for $5, 10 for $10. So don't be bashful. Make sure you get your tickets. And then Olive Oil's Pizzeria. They just gave us a double X pizza. Call right now. Talk to Ryan or Taylor there. 412-831-1900. The pizza was just great. We appreciate it each week. I even have volunteers calling up and telling me they can't be here, so I did have my second slice of pizza this week, so thanks a lot. Show.
I thought the volunteers were calling up and saying, make it double pepperoni.
I'll get that one slice of pepperoni very soon. But BPTV and the Talking Machine, and we were honored to go to an event last night, and this is one of the biggest fundraisers in Pittsburgh it's the Homeless Children Education Fund. They do some great things out there, as you can see. Not just a couple people, but there were over 400 people. We filmed it. Young Zach, the intern, was there with me. I had Big Zach waiting in the wings. He had his engine started. This is a great fund. Try to get a hold of them if you want to donate or be involved in helping. There's over 3,000 homeless children in the area, which to me I find that unbelievable. And they're trying to educate them when they can and get them back in a normal life. So that's part of what we're doing. And it was just a great be a part of that, and it was an honor there. So that's one of the things. Let's see. We got the Joey Strong. We all know about that. Just pulling a little closer there. You can get a hold of the Fabuses. Check out all the Facebook pages and websites here to donate. They're going to come up with a website. You'll be able to order some of their gear and T-shirts very shortly. I just talked to them, so check that out. So we got a lot of things happening in the neighborhood. Also, our friend that was on, Anna Marie Guy, she has the Author Zone. I won't tease Smoking Jim anymore about the book till it comes out. If you have a book, get a hold of the Author Zone. You can find them on Facebook and then click on their page and you can submit your book there. It's a $99 fee, I think, and you can win an award, which helps you with your sales and everything else. They have a great annual event in October. So that's it for my promos. We're here to do sports and everything, so we got a lot of sports on our mind, and we always start what's on our mind. We're going to do that with Zach Brenner. What's on your mind?
Well, Al Levine, the Talking Machine, what's on my mind? I was lost in deep thought with all those great promos and all the great people that support the show. I'm sorry that I missed the great event last night, but I always try to support homeless people in my area, Smoking Jim Frazier. I was going to touch briefly on Pitt basketball, but then Pitt lost to Wake Forest, and I crossed that off my list. So what I'm going to touch on briefly is a statement made by Rutherford, the general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins, where he pretty much said that we're all in. Well, all in to me isn't trading a young, blossoming defenseman in Dupree for a guy that we already shipped out in Lovejoy and a first-round draft pick. How is that all in? And to add insult to injury, we swap players with the St. Louis Blues, bring in a guy, and send Bertuzzo over to St. Louis. So I just don't understand how that's all in. In previous years, under Ray Shero, there was names that at least you knew the name. The only way we knew Lovejoy was because we already shipped the bum out. Now they're saying that he's blossoming and he's great over in the West, but now he's coming back to the East and he's got to play for the Penguins. So that's what's on my mind. The Rutherford for the Penguins said that we're all in, but the moves that he made weren't the kind of blockbuster moves that we were expecting for a team that's supposedly all in. So I don't see a real deep playoff run coming for our Pittsburgh Penguins, but that's just me.
Well, hopefully. Thanks, Zach. Hey, one thing, I like that new color of the hat that you're wearing there, buddy.
Thank you.
I like that, the Pittsburgh Sportsline hat. With Penguins, we'll try to talk about that with our group discussion that we have all the time. I'm not sure if we'll hit it, but, we'll get our opinions out one way or the other. At least one of us will, maybe two, sometimes
Well, when you go first, now there's 3 opportunities now to, touch and change up. You don't have to go with what you were going to go with,
How about when you go last?
That's the best.
Don't worry, there will be plenty for you to go on.
Okay, good. I'm glad for the consultation here. Folks, we're going to ask Smoking Jim, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
You keep this one. Don't send it back. It's yours.
Levine. Thanks,
Big Ben
buddy.
wouldn't have thrown a better pass.
Hey,
On his birthday.
all month long for St. Patrick's Day. I'm Mick Frazier, so
Okay, Mickey
I'm looking
Frazier.
forward to that. But what's on my mind is Spotlight Player of the Week. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have basically three linebacking coaches. So let's put them to work. My good friend Tom Donahoe used to always say, get them good or get them gone. And the Pittsburgh Steelers really have not been drafting good linebackers. So I think in this draft we ought to try to get another one and see if we can get a good one. And my player personnel director, Chip, and myself both agree that we like Bud Dupree from Kentucky. Al Levine, the talking machine, he's 6'4", 270 pounds, runs the 40 in 4.5, got an NBA vertical jump of 42 inches. And I tell you what, Bud Dupree is a whole lot of clay. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers can have something to mold there. So that's my Spotlight Player of the Week, Bud Dupree from Kentucky.
Smoking Jim, thanks as always. But if you see that, what's the chances of us getting him? That's what I always look for. And I hate to interrupt your good thoughts on that, especially your scouting team here.
Yeah.
What round? What's the projections?
For him,
He's a first-round draft pick?
He'll be
First round,
round.
22nd pick.
Okay. And you know we get excited about our Steelers. Anybody watching this for the first time, we talk all sports from anything you want to mention. But you mentioned Steelers, and now even Pirates more, we start getting a little excited. So, and Penguins, as you know, and whoever else. All right, Chip, what's on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Alan. And, Jim, it's ironic. I was conversing with Jim via text the end of last week, and I was looking at several mock drafts, and I saw that somebody said that this is who the Steelers should take with the 22nd pick, and I happened to ask my friend Jim what he thought about it, and he was like, oh my, you picked my Spotlight Player of the Week, and I was like,
Wow.
great minds think alike. Now,
With that being said, we'll move on because they got two great minds now.
yeah, but we have only half a wit between us.
Yep.
I know. Well, it is slightly above Nit, who I knew personally. So
I'm Nit and he's wit.
yeah, so and that's all good. If
But,
you like some humor, we have little humor, so enjoy what we have.
I would like to speak about something that my young friend Zach Brenner touched on, and I have a completely different take on what do they call that? The draft deadline the trade deadline
Ding,
activity
ding.
that
Let
happened
me hit
yesterday.
the bell. Ding, ding.
Oh, here's what I feel about the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I felt this about them as the season started. I felt that they were not a team that was built to go anywhere in the playoffs. I felt that we were a team that were relying too heavily on stars that weren't producing up to their capabilities, which to a degree I still feel that way, even though Evgeny Malkin has awoken. He's had 3 3-point games in a row, which is really good. But I do like the moves that Rutherford has made as far as trying to improve the Penguins. If you were paying attention to the Penguins for the last month or so, they were a team that was lackluster. They were kind of sleepwalking through the middle part of the season. I don't know if they were waiting for the playoffs to start or wondering when are we going to jumpstart ourselves. They made some trades, and I know a lot of people were critical because Simon Dupree was a player that was, and this is a curse as much of it is a blessing, that had tremendous talent, but he was given more than one opportunity to show that talent, and he really wasn't getting it done. The first 2 months of the season, he had picked up his game and he was playing very well, but the level of his play has dropped off with the last 3 months, and he's really going back to the way he was playing before. And I hear somebody that has tremendous talent, and I think what the problem is with people with that much talent is that the talent gets them to the NHL. What keeps you in the NHL is your work ethic, and I think that that's where he was lacking. And if you look at who we traded and what we got back for them, Robert Bortuzzo was a tough forward. He was somebody that you could count on to throw down the gloves and fight. And as you get into this portion of the season, where you're getting into the stretch run and where you're getting into the playoffs, fighting is something that's more of a detriment to your team than it is of a benefit. You want your players on the ice. You don't want to be skating a man short. Our penalty kill has not been that good, and of course our power play has been anemic most of the year. It's picked up lately. But if you look what we did, most of the players in the dressing room wanted Ben Lovejoy back. And if you look at what Ben Lovejoy has done since he left the Penguins, I believe his plus-minus rating is a plus 40. As a defenseman, that's what you want to have on the ice. Somebody that's keeping the number in the positives.
I think it's plus 16, actually.
That was Cole.
Plus 20.
That was Cole.
Plus 20 is Paul Martin. Paul Martin's right ahead of
Cole. I believe the kid we got from St. Louis was a
we
plus
can double
14.
check that, but I'm telling you.
But either way,
How
what
about
we
in
did
the
was
Penguins segment, you could Google that and find it out so we can have a good discussion.
Okay, well,
let's go, Chip. Go ahead.
I could get finished. What we gave up and what we got back was pretty like 6 of one, half a dozen of another. I think we set the team up better. Rutherford has overhauled the roster this season, which I'm really happy to see him do because really, the good old boys club just wasn't getting it done. Changes needed to be made. The top 4 aren't going to get traded. Crosby, Malkin, Fleury, Letang, those guys are set in stone. We've got them locked up with contracts. But, the reason why no blockbuster deals were made was because the Penguins are so backed up against the salary cap that when they traded for Bortuzzo, they had to give another draft pick for them to cover the extra $650,000 in salary. No, this was for Winnick, the kid we got from
The
Toronto.
new one, yeah.
Well, we had to trade another person, so we gave up a player and 2 draft picks because for
Under the
Toronto
cap.
to assume the $650,000 that would have put us over the cap, we had to do that. So the options were limited as to what we could do. I think we did make steps to improve the team. Now I'm really looking forward to seeing what this team brings the last 15, 16 games of the season to see what we got to go in the playoffs. But I think it was a smart move by the Penguins, and I'm looking forward to a playoff run now.
Well, thanks, Chip, for the facts and the opinions there. And Zach Brenner, what did you discover?
Oh, I was right. Paul Martin plus 20, plus 16, Ian Cole. I would never.
That was Ian Cole, not
dispute
Lovejoy.
that. Glenn Lovejoy doesn't even he's not even listed with a plus minus right now. So
Anybody
he's not even
could
in the
call
top
in
50.
and help this great debate, 412-831-3304. and I know you guys listen through a lot of promos, but I forgot one of the most important ones. It's the anniversary week starting on the 6th at Duke's Rib House and Grill. So you got to check that out. And then Smoking Jim and I are going to make a special appearance because not only do we love the food there, not only do we like doing our shows there, but they got a free buffet at 4:30 p.m. And Reddy said, come on down. So everybody's invited. We'll have some fun. And that's one of the things. The other thing I did want to show, because Jessica Lee gave me this. Are you going to pull up on this, Tiger? This actually gives some statistics. I just would like to show that with the Homeless Children Education Fund. She actually introduced me to Bill Wolf, who's the executive director there, and they're just happy that we can try to help out. And it's just shocking with all the people that are homeless, let alone the kids. And that helps save some lives there. So that's going on. Then I got treats for my boys here. I was at South Park BMX, and I got some chocolate chip or whatever M&Ms. I got snickerdoodles. So you guys, I'll just talk for a couple minutes, but you take big bites out of these cookies and pass them around.
Some of them snickerdoodles.
And this is from BMX South Park's first annual fundraiser, and it was great. Jim Bramer, Bill Miller, who were running it, Chad, who I met, a couple other guys, Mike, and some of the other kids that were on our show, the young girls that were on there a couple years ago. Wish him good luck. I missed the voice out there. He got snowed in. They were all asking for the voice, and he just moved out of Zach's neighborhood out further out in Ross or something, so he messaged me that he couldn't make it because of the snow. I said he should have called Brenner Contracting. He'll get you anywhere, believe me. I'm worried about the ice storm because I did run out of salt again today because that ice kept forming. Good. I'm glad you could enjoy some of the treats, and I did pay for those. And I want to thank Zach because he arranged the 2 meals there for me. And they ended up taking care of me. They felt bad. They said, we got some stuff left over, Al. We know we only gave you 1 meatball, but would you please eat some more?
I thought that was last night. Where they felt bad. You didn't tell me that you felt bad at the spaghetti dinner.
Okay, well, I got to update the story, sir, my man. Not only they feel bad on Sunday, because I thought they were teasing me. And South Park BMX, they're nothing but class. They do so much for the kids. You know, we're kidding around a little bit. But Zach had 2 tickets there. He couldn't make it because he was shoveling out his own neighborhood instead of all the city of Pittsburgh. So he caught up on all of that. And he goes, there's 2 tickets for you. You know, there's a spaghetti dinner. So they gave me 1 meatball because they know me. Then they said there was some more food. I got another plate. Then last night, after we filmed, young Zach and I, you know we got to eat. Zach, I won't rub it in, but we did have 3 plates of food because the Rivers Club is one of the classiest places, and it's just a good all-around place.
Young Zach is different from
the Rivers Club. No, the Rivers Club in Oxford.
The rookie
intern.
Yeah. But if you remember correctly, it was Smoking Jim Frazier that still holds the record for meals at the golf club at that event where he came in late and he sat down and he ate a plate. Then as we sat down at another table, this guy gets him to bring him another plate out.
We can't talk about his exploits. I got to talk some sports there. I don't even know what's on my mind now. But you know what? Penguins is on my mind for one reason.
Good.
Malkin set a record or tied a record of 3 games in a row with 3 points. He's not even using his own stick. He grabbed another stick. Pouillat, he grabbed his stick because it's not as curved. It's more of a flat stick. And he discovered a backhand. And he's not afraid to score on it. And guess what? He has a great backhand with a flatter stick. Wow. So that's what's on my mind. You guys are talking all the Penguins. I'm going to make it a trifecta with Penguin talk. I believe the Penguins made some of the right moves because maybe in the locker room, you're trying to show some of these guys that have been there that you got to step your game up in the real season, and that's the postseason. And after your top 2 lines, the bottom 6, you know, you just need pieces to fill there. And we haven't had a good bottom 6, which it sounds like an oxymoron. But when you look at it, and Zach's an expert on the hockey, I'm just an amateur that watched it 30 plus years. But if you don't have those players that can come in against some of the top guys and hold their own and maybe once in a while score, it's hard to get to the finals and win. And we've been missing that the last couple
Right.
years.
When we went to the Cup,
One second, we'll go right to Penguin talk. Yeah, because we got stuff. Since Penguins are on our mind and we differ on our opinions on it, whether they can go further or not, let's just go to the Penguins, because 3 of us out of the 4, because Smoking Jim actually watches a hockey game a year, so don't worry about it.
He's been watching a lot of Montreal Canadiens because of PK Subban.
No, he didn't know he's there.
Well,
We'll talk Penguins.
Actually, the Penguins aren't even considered to be one of the top teams in the Eastern Division right now. Right now, the top 2 teams that the experts are talking about are the Canadiens and the Rangers. But, what Alan was talking about with the bottom 6, since the 08 and 09, we went back-to-back Cup appearances. We had, Jordan Stahl centering the 3rd line, and we had Max Talbot on the 4th line, and we had the role players that we needed because, Crosby and Malkin, it's shown that they can't do it all themselves.
Right. Now, I just verbed off our little plan how we do it because Penguins, it is important. They changed the team. The whole complexion of the team, Smoking Jim, did change, and it had to. And the problem was we did lead the league in injuries, or we are leading the league in injuries again. So a lot of these players have not had time to play in games with each other.
But
so I think there'll be an improvement.
You have to be able to roll 4 lines out, Levine, and get, like you said, the bottom 6 got to be able to hold their own and do something against the top lines and the monsters. But hopefully, Marc-Andre Fleury continues to play lights out. That's going to be key. And as we get into the playoffs, they just got to score goals because Fleury's going to keep us in every single game. So as long as they can score some kind of production, and keep that power play, we'll be in good shape.
I'm hoping I don't have to use that phrase power outage because it's shocking when you can't score a goal, in 2 games, 3 games. I mean, that you need to score. We have the greatest players supposedly. You got to score. Now's the time you do it. Most great players that I've seen throughout sports, they lift up the other players. Even if it's Lemieux bouncing a puck off of Robbie Brown to get 50 goals, who cares? He's shooting the puck off of somebody to get it in.
So I know Smoking Jim doesn't have a lot to interject on this, but nobody is concerned about giving up. I know we have a strong core defenseman, young defenseman in Wilkes-Barre in the minor leagues, but to give up a Dupree that's 23 years old and a first-round pick, I know first-round picks don't mean too much in hockey unless you're one of the top 5 picks that year.
It's like baseball.
Correct. But to get a guy that was 31 years old and Ben Lovejoy that you already shipped out in 2012, and now all of a sudden you're getting the same guy back, but he's older. Now he's supposed to be better. Like I said, that to me doesn't sound like we're all in.
I got an opinion on that, just for the simple fact with Dupree. My thought was he didn't meet the biggest word is if. He had all this talent, if he could get it out. He did not get it out. He showed some flashes this year, and he started to tail off. So what value do you get for him? It's a debate. And with Lovejoy, I think you're in the prime of your career. You may not have more than a year or 2 left at that prime level. So if he improved and stepped up his game, I want him now. I want to win a cup. And that's what I'm looking at, win the cup.
And here's the thing with Lovejoy. Lovejoy has come back to the Penguins after being on a very strong, very good defensive hockey team, which is something that the Penguins really haven't been. And Dupree, I'm sorry, he was given more opportunities than I think he should have been. He didn't impress the previous regime with Ray Shero and Dan Bylsma. He was given all the rope in the world to produce. And he basically hung himself this year.
I'm going to give you a name, Chris Letang. I think when you have a player like Chris Letang, that kind of just killed Simone Dupree because he was a similar kind of player coming up. And it was basically stated that, hey, we already have Chris Letang, so this is what you have to do. So in his defense, I don't think he was ever given the opportunity to come out and play his style in Pittsburgh because of Chris Letang.
Yeah, but with the facts you're bringing up, he couldn't survive here unless he changed his game. If he goes somewhere else and succeeds with a little Tang type of game, like you're saying he has, that's great. Good for him. It just wouldn't work here, and that happens in some cities. We've given away players before and traded them where it doesn't work out here, and they blossom somewhere else. That's the chance.
And time will tell. Whether Simone Dupree was whether we gave up too much or whether he was what Jim kind of refers to at the Steelers draft point.
Would I have liked to bring in a Kessel from the Toronto Maple Leafs?
You couldn't. There's no way you could.
But because of the salary cap.
So and that is a product of what Ray Shero left the Penguins what Jim Rutherford inherited, and he's got to work within the framework of what he has. So
I actually am a Rutherford fan with what he's had to deal with.
I think
that's the thing. When you're given stuff and it wasn't your doing, how do you get out of it? How do you unwind some of these contracts? How do you get some players that have attitudes that we don't know about, but it sure seems like they were causing trouble in the locker room?
Well, you know what? At the end of the day, what really is going to make a difference is how far they go into April and May, and if they make it to June. And if they do, then he's a genius. And if he's not, well, you know what? There'll be repercussions for that.
Hey, all I can say is it depends on the horses. You got to lead them. Like we had Harvey Smith come on our show about the passion. You got to inspire players to do it to a certain point, but they play the game. If they don't want it enough, we won't have a cup. So stay healthy. Let's go Pens. Now we got to do one of my favorite segments, Fiction and Fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And I tell you what, this is basketball season also, especially high school basketball season. And one of the greatest teams in City League history just might be the 2015 Alderdice Dragons. But a team that receives many of the first place votes is the 2007 Schindly High School basketball team. In 2006, when most of those players were juniors, me and Eddie Jeffries had them in the studios at Whammo on our talk show. And I remember DeJuan Blair bringing in two of the prettiest girls I've ever seen in my life. But that starting team, that 2007 state championship team, had 6'6" DeJuan Blair, who's in the NBA, 6'5" DeAndre Kane, who is an All-American at Iowa State, is playing professionally overseas. 6'7" Kennedy, that was a star at St. John's, is also playing overseas. 6'2" forward Greg Blair, who was a star middle linebacker for the University of Cincinnati, now plays for the Cleveland Browns in football. And the best player on that team was probably the 5'6" point guard, Onion Bryant. Was a little bit too small to play college ball. And I watched this team and covered this team a lot in 2007, and they may be one of the best state championship teams in Pennsylvania state history. And that's Fiction and Fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac, the 2007 Schindly Spartans.
Man.
It's nice to see you go back about 8 years in the time machine for Smokin' Jim. Thank you. Appreciate the insights. Chip the Prophet Hainer, let's go to trivia time.
Let's go to trivia time. And what I'm going to touch on today, and just wanted to make note, today was the first day of the Grapefruit League. The Pittsburgh Pirates played their first game. Very impressive in performance. We'll talk about that when I'm done with my segment. But thinking that today kind of, last week, pitchers and catchers reported and the players reported they spent time practicing. I really look at the start of spring training is when the Grapefruit League starts. They start playing baseball. So I did some looking and did some research, and I looked at all of the different places that the Pirates have called their spring training home. And I found out that over the history of the Pirates, there's 16 different locations that they used as a spring training complex. And my list dates back to 1900. And in the 1900, the Pittsburgh Pirates spring training was in Selma, Alabama. Selma, Alabama. That's the name of the movie that Oprah was in. That they were talking about Reverend King, and so. Also in 1900, and the other place that we had spring training was in Thomasville, Georgia. Now, the place where Honus Wagner had spent his springs getting ready for the season was in Hot Springs, Arkansas from 1901 to 1914. Pirates did their spring training work there. From 1915 to 1917, Dawson Springs, Kentucky. 1918, Pirates were in Jacksonville, Florida. 1919, we were back in Alabama, this time in Birmingham. We went back to Hot Springs, Arkansas for 3 years, from 1920 to 1923. Paso Robles, California was next, and we spent the next 10 years taking our spring training there. Followed by San Bernardino, California, 1935. San Antonio, Texas in 1936. Back to San Bernardino from 1937 to 1942. Then for 2 years to finish out the Second World War, Muncie, Indiana. The Pirates were in Muncie from 1943 to 1945. 1946, back to San Bernardino, California. 1947, we were in Miami, Florida, followed by 1948 in Hollywood, California. And you may wonder, why would the Pirates have spring training in Hollywood, California? And I know Alan knows this, and I know Jim doesn't have an idea. One of the previous owners of the Pirates was Bing Crosby.
Really?
Yes, he was. And as a matter of fact, it was in one of his old film archive vaults that they found an original copy of the 7th game of the 1960 World Series in its entirety that they released a couple of years ago when Mazeroski hit the home run. So that's why we were in Hollywood, California. Then we went back to San Bernardino for another 3 years. Believe it or not, the Pirates had spring training in 1953 in Havana, Cuba. Wouldn't it be nice to see a major league team have spring training down there again? Who knows? You know,
If they get rid of Fidel and his family.
Well, you know what? We're
Bring back some
prepared
good
to-
players.
From that point on, the Pirates have spent spring training in Florida, Fort Pierce, Florida, 1954. From 1955 to 1968, in Fort Myers, and from 1969 to the present, we've been in Bradenton. And you know, the Nuttings have spent a lot of money upgrading the place. It's a first-class facility. McKechnie Field is over 90 years old, and you know, it's got a lot of history with it. But that's Chip's trivia for today. Just all the different stops in the road that the Pirates have made in their spring training journeys.
Good job.
Thanks,
Great,
Chip.
Great research.
I actually didn't know a lot of that, so that was impressive. It's not useless, so I appreciate
Yeah,
the,
you know,
the
you
facts
got
there.
you know, like I always joke with Jim when I'm talking to him in between shows. I do my homework.
Yeah, that's a good one there.
Good job.
All right, we're going to go to Z time here. Zach Brenner, what else is on your mind in Z time? Oh, by the way, how's those cookies and stuff from BMX South Park?
Oh, delicious, delicious. Anything made homemade is delicious. Sorry, the Tiger can't partake in it. He's got a couple of food allergens.
Are you saving that pizza for him, or what are you doing?
No, I'm gonna have that for him.
Okay,
Don't worry,
just
sir.
checking. I was eyeing it up, boss.
Don't you worry.
It's good cold.
All right, let's hear the trivia time here.
Trivia time.
No,
There's
Z
no trivia.
time. Z
There's
I
no
want him.
trivia.
Look,
There's no
I'm setting
fiction
him
and
up.
fact. It's all fact down here on the left side.
According to him.
On the end.
Oh, okay, thanks. Yeah, yes, we're the factual. I can't even believe that. All right, Z time.
You know, there's a big trade that won't be made official that just broke about 20 minutes ago before we went on the air. It appears that the Philadelphia Eagles are sending star running back Shady McCoy to the Buffalo Bills for a no-name linebacker that I've never heard of before, but Smoking Jim had him high in his draft three years ago. He was a spotlight player, but ended up a Buffalo Bill. So you know what happens, you know, if you're Smoking Jim spotlight player and you go to the Buffalo Bills. That's just like being exiled. Like, you might as well just call it a career, man, and wrap it up. But I'm interested to see now that the Buffalo Bills have brought in Rex Ryan and company, and now they got a stud running back in Shady McCoy. Which brings the question to me, though, for that linebacker, what could the Steelers have sent? We got Jarvis Too Slow Jones that we could have shipped over across the state to pick up Shady McCoy if the Philadelphia Eagles wanted a mediocre linebacker that bad, in my opinion. But, you know, the film is the film. And clearly the Eagles wanted the former Oregon linebacker to be reunited with his college coach Chip Kelly in Philadelphia. But right now I'm just in shock, but the numbers don't lie, and maybe the Eagles are in a cap crunch right now to get under the salary cap, so they had to sacrifice Shady.
I'm thinking that the cap had something. I bet you Buffalo, if we were to look into it, would have more cap space than the Philadelphia Eagles do. And the Eagles, they may be looking to move up in the draft because Chip Kelly likes that quarterback from Oregon, and he would love to have him starting. So who knows, man? It's going to be interesting to see how the carousel turns.
So if you gentlemen had to play the role of general manager and you have the first pick in the draft, in this year's NFL draft, which is in May, thank you, Roger Goodell, for taking it and making it even longer of a mockery. But who would you take if you had the choice to take the crab leg thief down in Florida, the Winston, or Marcus Mariota from Oregon? Who do you pick right now? Because those seem to be the two studs.
Always go with the guy that got his a patent on his name.
So Winston, Smoking Jims for Winston. He's with the crabs.
If it was just between those two.
It is just between those two. Chip, who do you take if you have the pick?
You know what? I don't believe it's come down to both of those. And actually, you have to look at your team that you have. Now, you got a team with like somebody like Ben Roethlisberger on it. You're not going to be wasting your first-round draft pick on Jameis Winston, because Jameis Winston's somebody that, he needs to go to a team that really desperately needs a quarterback for the next 5 years. We've got that taken care of. I would look at the needs of the team. We would have to take the top-rated outside pass rusher, I think, without a question. That's what the Steelers' most pressing need is.
Mariota or Winston?
Yeah, if you're giving us a choice right now, I wanted to study more, but since you want us to pick one of those two quarterbacks.
These gentlemen have a long body of work on national TV playing on some of the biggest stages, so you guys have seen it enough.
Not a long body of work. Jameis Winston played 2 years in college. That's not a long body of work. I mean, look what Johnny Manziel did. He played 2 years and he played his way right into rehab.
Well,
I'll go against the crab stealing quarterback and the one that stands up on the tables and does whatever he does. I'm not picking him.
Okay.
By default, I'll take the other gentleman.
So you're going to go with the Duck.
Mariota.
Yeah.
So the Ducks are starting to line up in a row for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's what it seems like to me. In Z time, it's the Eagles. With the Ducks.
I like that little thing because I always say you got to line your ducks up first before you go. So the ducks are lining them up.
I've always say if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck.
Good point.
He is a duck.
Touching a little bit on Z time about NFL free agency. Was anybody surprised that the Detroit Lions decided to let their probably one of their third best players on the team test free agency in Sue, the defensive lineman? The guy notorious for kicking people.
Sometimes you just get tired of the guy.
No, you know what? To be honest with you, with what you would have had to pay him to keep him, I have no problem letting him go out and test the water somewhere else. I don't think he made that team that much better.
I guess that means Smoking Jim disagrees.
And if you're a betting man, you could almost bet that Sue's going to end up as an Oakland Raider, and that'll be the end of his career. He'll probably get traded to the Patriots in a late season deal, and we'll repeat.
Maybe he'll have the same kind of success at Oakland that Lamar Woodley did.
Speaking of Lamar Woodley, the ex Raider has also been cut, and we'll test the free agent market.
That's why he brought it up. So,
but there's a great
any more on Z time, or are you just going to pick
one
eight
last
subjects?
Free agent that's desperately one side of the Houston Texans is their wide receiver Johnson, that now wants to leave because he feels like they want to cut down on his role. So now Andre Johnson's out there to be had. So like I said, it's going to be quite an interesting couple of months as we lead up to the NFL draft here in May. And hopefully Smoking Jim Frazier continues to do his due diligence and his homework, because we need linebackers, baby. Every Tuesday, he's going to tell you about linebackers.
No, he's
on his
not.
Spotlight player.
No, he's not. He's not doing what you say. That ends Z time. Enough of this.
What about Donatello?
Forget it. We got the NFL Combine right here on the scouting team. We'll have them do a segment someday, possibly. On location, so everybody knows, we will be at Duke's Rib House and Grill it's at 1901 Cochran Road. I did misspeak once and said the wrong address. It's still next to Max and Irma's, no matter what number you put in. And we got a lot of great guests there. I wanted to announce who they are. Usually I don't say it in advance because Smoking Jim, sometimes my friends get sick, yours and some of the other people, and then Z's asking, where are they? And sometimes they're ill. We even had a couple deaths, and they were legitimate. I checked the paper. So we have a great crowd coming. We got the Donnybrook captain of the team, Jack Mook. He's going to be there. Rich Donnelly helped to put this together. We're going to have a couple of the boxers there. Then we're going to have Jim Lamb, who's the main sponsor of this event with the Irish Institute, explaining what a Donnybrook is and everything else. Then I heard rumors there's only going to be 25 people from their group coming out.
Wow.
So, and Smoking Jim, I did talk to one of your best friends. It's a basketball coach, Monique McCoy. And she said to say hi. And she is coming with some of her team members. And the principal of the school, Obama Academy, wants to come out to see the show.
Wow.
And we have a few other people that we're talking about that have confirmed it. And I just have to have them get back. We may have some MMA people on there too. So
Booking machine.
come on out to Duke's Rib House and Grill. And then Mario Tempest keeps asking where we're going to be next. And Mario, this is for you and anybody else, well, everybody else. We'll be at the Smokehouse Bar and Grill, which is at 2500 West Liberty Avenue, right at the bottom of where you go up Brookline Boulevard. And wait, it's right near the McDonald's smoking gym. So.
Is its address 630 West Liberty Avenue?
No, 2500.
Okay.
Yeah, it used to be Lacani's back in the day.
I just got a quick question. Is that different from Frogs?
Yes, sir. That's a separate
They're
building.
separate. Okay.
Whenever you wandered around there and you didn't know.
I didn't go far enough. I thought I was going to go. Okay,
yeah, they're two separate buildings, and they're working on. I told them not to do it because then I got problems like being a dictator. But they want to try to come up with another talking machine burger that's special.
I like that.
They're teasing me with mac and cheese. They're teasing me with some other things they may put up. They almost have a flyer done. So we'll see what comes up with it. But they'll have specials.
Talk to them about making a grilled cheese on top, a grilled cheese on the bottom, and then
Slap a
jam
burger.
and burger and bacon, and you're on the road.
Is that good?
It's a heart stopper.
Don't go see your cardiologist the next day.
And that's our gourmet cooking and locations. And we'll be doing it the second and fourth week, at Duke's like we do, and the first and third at the Smokehouse, and we'll go from there. So nice talking to you about that. We also have a special show that we're going to do at the Village Tavern and Trattoria in West End on Main Street, and that's March 19th. We're going to do a late show for a lot of the guys and girls that can't be guests because they're training people or coaching or working. It'll be 8 o'clock to 9. We'll be doing it after a Jessica Lee Jazz and Blues show at 6 to 8. So we're going to do a combination there. Come on out. They got great food, great specials, drink specials, everything else. When you go there, it's a very historic place. Some of you may remember Temperanceville, and it's right there. So it's like 3 different, actually like separate bars and banquet areas. So check that out March 19th. That's it for my announcements and everything. Let's talk some more sports.
Can we get some boxing on that list, Levine?
Whoa, we got a caller. Hello, caller.
Yes,
Who is this?
Dan J.
Dan J, this is Al Levine, the talking machine. I got a couple hats for
The
you.
legend.
Thank you. How's Texas?
It's crappy as Pittsburgh, actually.
How's Vegas? How's Vegas then? Let's talk positive. How's Vegas?
Well, I need to get back out there. It's in the 60s out in Vegas right now, but it's in the high 30s here in Dallas. It's been really crappy without the cold. It's not gotten too cold, but we did have snow last week, which makes people in Texas freak out. I'm sure all the people back home that came down for the Super Bowl saw all the insanity.
Yes, they did. It was very disappointing to a lot of my friends.
I heard it shut down the town last week. 2 inches of snow.
2 inches of snow in Dallas shuts the entire world down. They don't know what to do. They don't have Zach Brenner. Zach would be out there plowing roads and
No. Hey, Dan.
Whatever it took.
Hey, Dan, he just shoveled out half of Pittsburgh and where he lives up in Homestead at the top of the mountain there. He shovels it out. He won't use any mechanical equipment, but that's another story. I want you to introduce yourself because you're one of the best experts in boxing that I know and just everything you post out there and the knowledge that you have. So introduce yourself, my friend.
My name's Dan J. I'm originally from Newcastle, Pennsylvania. I've lived in the North Hills. I've lived in Cranberry, Wexford, Ross Township. So I was a long-time Pittsburgh resident and moved to Dallas, Texas 5 years ago to work with the NFL Alumni Association and their career and business program when they were launching for the Super Bowl, and I just kind of fell in love with it down here, and I've been here ever since.
Oh.
And now I'm working in the boxing industry, working with some fighters and advising several higher name fighters in their camps, and just been around boxing for a long time. I'm 38 years old now, and I've really been a boxing fanatic for about 33 of those years since my dad took me to see Ray Boom Boom Mancini trained when I was about 5 years old in Youngstown, Ohio. I've been pretty much hooked ever since. So,
well,
yeah,
I'm glad I finally found out who's behind that curtain of Dan J. So, thanks. Hey, I know you didn't just call in to talk about me asking you who you are. What's on your mind?
I called in because Zach Brenner said to call in, and that's a good enough reason for me.
Well, I sort of figured as much. He just wanted me to interview you to see what's going up because, you know, we're big at promoting MMA, boxing, and most of the things around. So why don't you tell me a couple things about what's on your mind in boxing right now? Any subject in boxing, local or...
Well, boxing this is a huge, huge week for boxing, and people don't even realize yet that for the first time in 30 years, boxing is going to be on primetime network television on NBC this Saturday, March 7th. I don't think it's either 8 or 9 o'clock Eastern. I get it mixed up because I'm here in Central Time now.
Sure.
But it's a feature. The main event features a friend of mine and a very well thought of young man by the name of Keith Lights Out Thurman from Clearwater, Florida. He defends his WBA welterweight title against former champion Robert the Ghost Guerrero, who is a former Floyd Mayweather opponent and a very tough guy in his own right. And it's the biggest fight of Keith's career because Keith has not fought anybody on that level yet, but he's been thought of as being the next guy, and he's had to kind of wait his turn. And this is the biggest opportunity he's ever had, and really probably the biggest opportunity that any boxer has had, and other than fighting, getting the Mayweather sweepstakes.
Sure.
But really an opportunity to be seen by tens of millions of people in their living rooms on network television. So, and also Adrian Broner, who is a former world champion from Cincinnati, Ohio, probably more known for being the loudest, most obnoxious guy in Floyd Mayweather.
Yes. Yes.
A brawler named John Molina. So that should be an entertaining fight as well.
No, that sounds great.
Now, Dan, for the folks back here in Pittsburgh, could you tell the local boxing fans why Lightning Rod Salka can't get a title fight at 135 pounds?
Well, Rod Salka can't get a fight at 130 or 35 pounds because boxing comes down to political landscape, and Rod is signed with Golden Boy. So Golden Boy Promotions fighters have, fight Golden Boy Promotions fighters. So in Rod's case, he's a bigger guy who's come down. He's not fighting at 130. He's going to be fighting at 130. So he would be a perfect candidate to get an opportunity to fight one of the Japanese guys at 130 pounds who are world champions. But he's ranked in the top 15 with the WBC, which is the preeminent governing body at 135 pounds, and they feel like he's too big, and because he's not willing to go to Venezuela to fight the champion in a place where you can't win, he's kind of in a catch-22. So he's weighing his options right now, and most likely he'll be fighting locally, potentially in May at the Meadows in Washington, and just kind of see where things go. But he got that big opportunity, and since then, it's been hard to get any real traction because it's all about politics. It's really all who you know and what promoter is going to give you that push. And I'm a little surprised that Golden Boy hasn't given Rod a push, to be honest with you. But again, nothing in boxing is truly surprising.
We understand that, and we're a big fan of Rod's, and he's been on our show numerous times. And it's just frustrating because you only have a certain amount of time. It's perishable. You're only going to get older and slower and everything else, as you know.
Well, the good news for Rod is he's young in boxing. He's only been doing it really since he was 20 years old, so he doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires per se. And he's a supreme athlete who stays in year-round condition. He's never not in condition. His weight never goes up too high. I don't think you'll ever see Rod up above 150 pounds now, ever. Yeah. So he's always not too far away from being able to make that. So now that he's decided to make it at 130, I think he's going to probably stay in the lower 140s pretty consistently and be training year round. So don't count Rod Salka out, regardless of what the political landscape looks like. I think it's always good for boxing to see a guy who kind of came out of nowhere. And people don't know a lot of Rod's story. Rod built himself. He never had a big promoter. He never had any kind of push behind him. He didn't have any backers, any money like other fighters, even other fighters from the area that had backing. Rod did his own shows. Zach Brenner set up tables and chairs and everything from that they could possibly do to help to try to make these shows at the grassroots level, like kind of the way the MMA scene has grown in Pittsburgh. That is a lot like how Rod built his shows at Court Time and Elizabeth and various small venues and Green Tree at the complex up there. And
Sure.
I know Zach is a part of all those shows, so he understands.
Well, you got one of the announcers. You got one of the announcers that's announced a lot of Rod's fights, Smoking Jim Frazier here, who's usually pretty noisy. But when you have another expert here,
I didn't even know he was there. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Well, here I'll introduce you. We got we got Smoking Jim Frazier.
Never out.
I know he's here, and he's brought me along in boxing. I've been able to tag along, and that's how I met Zach Broner. I think you heard the story how we met. That everybody was saying, you know, we're with Smoking Jim Frazier. And actually, I met Rod Sulka before I met the legendary Zach Broner, because I was at that Green Tree fight, because Smoking Jim said, hey, Talking Machine, come up here. China's announcing the fight with me. So I was there and met him then, among a bunch of other guys there, too. So, but I didn't see you. Where were you at, my friend?
I hadn't made it back to Pittsburgh yet, man. I wasn't back in the scene in Pittsburgh yet. I just recently started. I was kind of disappointed. We were hoping to have Paul Spadafora on that show and come back for that fight, but it just didn't work out. But
hold it, I got to interrupt you since Smoking Jim won't interrupt you. He's just a quiet, mild-mannered guy. I'm going to ask about Spadafora. Everybody in Pittsburgh's bugging us. There's been false rumors about Spatty fighting, you know, and everything else.
That's a touchy subject right now, Al Levine.
To me, I like a little controversy.
Instead of talking about the Pittsburgh...
What I can tell you about Paul is he's in tremendous shape right now.
Okay, that's what I want to hear.
There's just some internal issues in his camp that are trying to be worked out. But he's never been healthier. He's never been in better shape, and he's never been more ready to take on whoever's out there. Like I said, we're just running into some logistical.
Well, here's what we'll say to be polite. All the political stuff you can save that for the after-hour shows. I just wanted to know if he's healthy, ready to fight. I'm glad to hear that. And when we see him sign something and they work out whatever issues they have, but you know your man Zach Brenner's chomping at the bit to at least ask you another question before we run out of time.
Well, my next question would be also in the Dan J stable. For the folks back here in Pittsburgh that might not be familiar with Showtime, Sean Porter, why don't you give them a brief insight into Sean Porter, who's also going to be fighting on NBC coming up on March 14th, I believe, right, Dan?
Yeah, March 13th. It's on Spike TV, actually. He's fighting a tough guy from Texas by the name of Roberto Garcia, who has been on a real tear the last 4 years. He's gone undefeated the last 4 years, 36-3. And his last loss was to Antonio Margarito, who was a very accomplished world champion at welterweight. He beat some good guys, including Miguel Cotto. So this is a tough challenge for Sean. But Sean's had an unbelievable camp. He's ready to go. I mean, right now he's peaked. He could have fought weeks ago, and we were hoping to have that fight scheduled in February. They kept pushing it back a little bit, and then they decided to do it on the network TV instead of on Showtime. And now with all these new venues, these new media mediums opening up,
right?
You just you take what's maybe the best opportunity to be seen, and that's why Pete Porter decided to wait.
And lastly, Dan, before we let you get back to Kasai and dinner in Central Time, who do you take on May 2nd if we don't get you back on the air? Mayweather or Pacquiao?
I'll definitely be back on the air if I have a couple extra seconds to do it. It's one of those things that it's like getting excited about the Van Halen reunion. 20 years too late.
Great point.
I love David Lee Roth, but let's be honest, the guy's not doing spin kicks anymore. So how excited can you get about two guys that are past their prime getting together? It's more of an event than it is a fight. I don't think either of those two guys could beat Sean Porter. I don't think either of those two guys could beat Keith Thurman at this point at 147 pounds. So, take it with a grain of salt. It's great for boxing. It's great for the exposure of boxing. But as far as a fight that just passed, kind of past its expiration date, it's definitely...
Hold it. What's the bottom line? You're going with money...
I like Manny Pacquiao in that fight. I think he has more left than Floyd. I think he'll out-hustle him, and he's got to be smart, though. He can't walk into any of those counter shots. But
well, that's why I wanted to put you on the spot, because you're the expert, and we're just about out of time here on our show. We got to have you back. Next time, call around 7:30 our time. We can get you a nice 15 minutes in, all right?
I appreciate you having me on.
Well,
All right, Dan.
Zach gets an assist. Smoking Jim, you put a muzzle on him. I don't know what happened here.
I want to hear Smoking Jim. Let me hear it. All right, Lee Cleveland Williams.
Go ahead.
My man Dan.
Take care. Have a nice dinner. Thanks for calling
right,
Pittsburgh
guys, take care.
Sportsline.
All right.
Bye. All right, we got the 3-minute warning here. Here's where we go.
You got El Toro hitting home runs. I know Chip's chomping at the bit to
Oh,
wrap
you
this
got
up down in
first
Bradenton.
at-bat of the
So
year. Well, guys, we're going to segue into some quick
Do it.
Pirate chat. There really isn't much to talk about. First game of the Grapefruit League season played today. Pedro Alvarez came out of the block strong. 3-run homers, first at-bat. Opposite field, into the wind, crushed it.
Yep.
Young Ho Kong hit his first home run in his second at-bat, and that was another opposite field home run, which, if for people that don't know, you're hitting home runs to the opposite field from where your power is. That's a pretty amazing feat.
And it was more than
Kong-
200 feet down the line.
is Kong the guy that we signed
Yes.
from
Yes,
the
from the
Korean?
Korean League. Yes,
Okay.
he is. Yes, he
South
is.
Korea.
Also, Elias Diaz hit a home run today to get the third home run for the spring. And who is Elias Diaz? Elias Diaz is the starting catcher for the Indianapolis Indians, the AAA team. Impressing everybody with the way he's handling the pitching staff and batting down there. Wouldn't be too surprised to see him behind the plate next year for the Pirates. Another year of seasoning. I think he's going to be fine. Brandon Compton, one of the potential starters for this year, is on his way to go see Dr. James Andrews in Birmingham.
here we
He's got
go.
elbow issues. But you know what? If there's anything that the Pirates are heavy on right now, it's starting pitcher. Right now, we've got 6 quality starting pitchers. Generally, most teams run a 5-man rotation. Could see the Pirates potentially early in the year running with a 6-man rotation. It's not unheard of. Could be done. We've got 6 great live arms.
Who's the ace on that staff? Cole still?
Cole is technically, but it could be Cole, it could be Liriano. Liriano and Cole were like 1 and 1A. AJ Burnett, I would say, is your definite solid number 3 starter. Number 4 is going to probably be Charlie Morton. Vance Worley and Jeff Locke are going to battle for that 5th position, number 5 and number 6. And Jeff Locke said that he's even willing to move into a reliever's role if that's what's best for the team. And that just goes to show you the people that are on this team realize that this is a team that's on the edge of winning a championship. And if they've all come to camp ready to play, they've got a long journey ahead of them.
Very true. We're down to about a minute, Chip. And one sign, A.J. Burnett, I wasn't a fan when he left, but since his wife gave him permission to come back to Pittsburgh, he took a pay cut, and he wants to win a World Series. I'm hoping they're in the playoffs, and whatever happens, they need to stay healthy and do
Better
that.
than a wild card.
Central Division champs.
I'll take the wild card anytime. It's better than not winning.
One and done.
Well, I'm not going one and done. I don't
How
know
many
about
wins you
that.
got the Pirates getting this year, Smoking Jim? Quick.
Under 82.
He's under. I'm winning record this year again. So I've changed. It's all different. Hey, I want to thank Smoking Jim Frazier, Zach Brenner. I couldn't see him there. We changed a little setup here. Chip the Prophet Hainer, thanks. Thanks for everybody watching our show. We appreciate it. Hope you're not going outside with all that rain and storms coming. We'll see you next week. Monday we'll be at Duke's Rib House and Grill about 7:30. And next Tuesday we'll be here. We'll see you then. Have a safe night. Be safe out on the roads.